I'm a recovering perfectionist. I didn't say I was perfect. I just always wanted things to be perfect. This could be evidenced by some of the arguments I had with my mom when I was a teenager and all the things that I wanted to be a certain way. And she used to always tell me, if you don't let go of things having to be perfect, it will haunt you the rest of your life. You will continue to have issues. Today, we're talking about just that. What are the reasons that it's good to let go of trying to be perfect? And how is it getting in our way when we try too hard to make everything perfect or have perfectionism tendencies? Have you ever felt held back by self-doubt, whether it's speaking up in a meeting or connecting with others or simply just believing in your own worth? Well, you're not alone. Welcome to the Crazy Confidence Coach podcast. I'm Heather Edwards, Master Certified Life Coach, and my goal is to empower you to step into your most authentic, confident self. Here, you're going to discover practical strategies and powerful insights to help you improve your communication, deepen those relationships, and elevate your self-esteem. And each week, I'm going to guide you through some actionable tips and mindset shifts that are specifically designed to help you break free from fear, show up boldly in every area of your life, and build crazy confidence. Are you ready to stop hiding in the shadows, playing small, and avoiding the spotlight? Grab your favorite pen and a notebook, and let's get to it. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. What reasons do we have to let go of being perfect? The first that we're going to talk about is perfectionism is draining you of your energy and creative flow. When we think about how hard we work when we are trying to make everything perfect, we overthink it, we overwork, and we function at a reduced capacity, not a better capacity, but actually reduced capacity because we have too much going on in our heads and we're evaluating the whole time and we're judging it the whole time. You might notice that when you are trying to be perfect or you want things to come out perfectly, you have a lot of self-talk that sounds like, I have to, I will never, or if I don't do it perfectly, then XYZ will happen. But what is the truth of those statements? Is it true that you have to? What I'm about to say will no doubt get haters. You will very rarely have to, quote unquote, do anything. The next time you say, I have to, I want you to stop and do your best to replace it with something like, I choose to, I would like to, it would make me feel better if I'm going to. Those are much more accurate statements than I have to in most cases. Not all cases, but in most cases. Here are a few test cases to think over. I have to make dinner. You don't have to make dinner. You could simply not eat or eat leftovers or whatever it is, but you don't have to eat. You don't have to feed the other people in your family or in your house. In most cases, you can use any of the above phrases. I'm going to, I'd like to, I'm choosing to, in place of I have to. When you say I have to, the burden there, it's heavy. It feels like it's something that you absolutely don't have a choice about. When we stop being perfectionists and we stop forcing ourselves into being a certain way and allow ourselves to be who we really are, then we can actually become more present and do things because we want to and not try to do it as perfectly, if that makes any sense. Hopefully I didn't just go off on a tangent there. But we dramatize what is expected of us and what we expect of others all of the time. And I promise you, if you spend time becoming more aware of the language and how you're allowing your brain to kind of run off with what's expected and what you have to do or what you absolutely need to do, and you step back a little bit and figure out what the truth of it is, then that perfectionistic pressure that you have on yourself will fall off a little bit. So I'm not shaming you here. It's okay. We all have these things, but notice how exhausted how you feel by repeatedly telling yourself how much you have to do and how perfectly you have to do it. Simply just bring more awareness to your life and to what you're saying and how you're acting in the world and how you're showing up in the world. and you will naturally give some of your energy kind of a boost because it's back now and you're not spending all your time hating your life or feeling like everything has to be perfect and draining you to do things that you don't have to do. Now, I know so many of you are fighting this because we have to eat, right? Well, you don't have to eat, but notice how exhausted you feel by repeatedly telling yourself how much you have to do, or how perfectly it has to be done, or how it has to be done in a certain way. Simply bringing more awareness to your life and some of that perfectionism will naturally give you some of your energy back. Most people don't overtly go around saying it has to be perfect, at least not consciously, but unconsciously we frame our life with so many expectations of ourselves and of the other people around us, by the way. So let me ask you, how are you expecting your spouse, your child, your boss, or yourself to do every single thing right and perfect? Get curious and explore how your energy is being tied up on how things should be or how they have to be. And when you see it and you feel it, I want you to notice the difference of allowing some of that expectation to fall off and to let go of some of it. It's hard, especially if you've been trained for years and years and years to have high expectations. And don't get me wrong here, I'm not saying don't have expectations. What I'm saying is pay attention to the expectations if they're really perfectionism tendencies versus real expectations that are grounded and well thought out. The next reason that you need to let go of your perfectionism is it's preventing you from making quick decisions. It is stalling you out from attempting to reach your goals, and in some cases, it's actually preventing you from living your life to the fullest. In some words or other words, you can say it's driving procrastination. It keeps you in this mode of overthinking, over-researching, and keeping self-doubt at the forefront. When we take in too much information and we forget to do the most important part, like make a decision or say yes or no to something, or do it now or do it later, we are in this mode of trying to predict every single potential outcome. It just simply is like quicksand. It slows you down and you're never going to get to the decision-making process itself and make the decision. And you indulge, I guess is a good word for it, indulge in the doubts that you have, your insecurities about it, your resistance, your triggers, and stay there instead of moving forward. Many years, I spent so much time researching everything to my detriment. And although I really like being told that I'm good at doing research, what I got really good at was avoiding making a move or a decision and taking action. And sometimes I still struggle with that. Thankfully, I'm getting better at making decisions. Now I'm much more aware of my perfectionism in me and working through changing this false belief that this skill of thoroughly researching things before making a decision prevents any problem from arising, always makes things go smoother, and is the right decision every time. Those assertions are simply not true. You can absolutely research something to every angle possible and still make a decision that doesn't go as planned. So yes, research can be a benefit, and I still do research, but it's way more important to develop the skill of trust in yourself to be able to handle whatever happens once you make a decision and to be able to follow through the decisions that you make. So learning to balance making quick decisions and being able to deal with whatever comes your way once the decision is made is way better than making it perfect and making sure all the boxes are checked before you get started. I work with clients that don't trust themselves to be able to handle what comes their way all the time, so they delay making decisions. And all that does is it prevents them from reaching the goal that they want to reach. Little by little, we go to work on building back that trust that they have within themselves, which is usually created by something that's happened in their past or something they were told in their past, or just a belief that they've created on their own about themselves. And what we learn to do is make small decisions quickly and build up the muscle for decision making so you can get or build more trust pretty quickly in yourself by doing that. just making small decisions, making them quickly, and then trusting yourself to deal with whatever comes your way once you make them. The reality is, swift decisions give you immediate information on what works and what doesn't work. So whether it works or not, you're in action, and action 90% of the time, or 99% of the time, however you want to say it, gets you to the intended result faster than not having any action. As you work through things that work and don't work, you become more and more confident in your decision making, and you also build a trust in yourself that you can handle whatever comes. And that is valuable on so many levels, not just one example of a decision. It can bleed into the rest of your life, just trusting yourself to handle what comes and letting go of it having to be perfect. You can handle it either way. And then the third way is your perfectionism is stealing your joy. There are studies that show a correlation between anxiety and depression and perfectionism. The pressure of perfectionism is undeniable. When you put pressure on yourself or others to be perfect, it's hard to enjoy the moment or to live this carefree life that is enjoyable and full of joy. Take, for example, social media. That is the easiest thing to focus on. I'm always amazed at how often people use filters on their face to improve the look of their skin, especially when it's everyday shots or everyday events. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm simply observing that behavior, and I'm genuinely curious. When I see someone who does this really often, it makes me really think, I wonder why they do that. There are a few people I know that do this pretty consistently, and I personally believe it takes away from the authenticity of the photo. It just feels less real to me. Because I know them well, I know they are plenty beautiful without a single filter involved. Our culture has normalized doing this. Imagine being able to simply shoot a photo or take a picture and share a photo without having to retouch it or touch it up. It's no different than staging a photo, which I'm guilty of all the time. Usually it's while taking a photo of a meal or being at a restaurant wanting to take a picture of what we're eating or something. I always clear the table, make sure it's nice. There's no half-eaten food on the plate or something like that. So I'm guilty of it. I'm absolutely guilty of trying to stage photos, and I guess to some degree photos of people too, but not so much with me. I typically are pretty organic with that. I have seen what it does because we're trying so hard to perfect something that isn't perfect. Nothing is perfect. But by doing that and by taking away from when you're sitting there at a restaurant with your loved ones and you're worried about making the table great for the photo, you're taking away time from the people that you're in front of. And if you're, doing filters on your face or you're trying to do something like that when you take photos, you're judging yourself while you're filtering your face or adding filters. And it's all driven by some kind of comparison. And honestly, comparison is just a thief. It is ever so quietly stealing our joy. Think about the time and energy that we spend perfecting things in our lives, whether it's cleaning the house or buying the perfect car or making a decision on the perfect outfit or having the perfect event or whatever it is. There's always a cost to perfectionism. Here's a quick story for you. Years ago, I had a conversation with a friend that changed my view on social media and how I presented myself on social media. So this particular friend was getting married, and I told her how much I wanted to help her in any way I could because I loved working on weddings. And I had recently gotten married myself. I don't know, it was probably a year, maybe a year and a half earlier than that. And for our wedding, I did a lot of homemade things like our just decor and stuff like that. My friend proceeded to tell me how good I was at everything, and all my crafts were always so perfect, and all the projects I had were always wonderful, and she loved seeing them. The comment that she specifically made was they turned out so good, all of them. And I kind of scoffed at her and I said, oh my goodness, I have so many fails. It's like I usually have 2 to 10 fails before I get it right. And she looked at me. She just was a little surprised. I realized that I was presenting by posting on social media my finished project, that I wasn't really presenting the whole picture. I was just presenting the perfect end, I guess. Now, granted, my projects weren't always perfect, of course, but they were decent. I was taking photos of the end version of lots of trial and error when I had something that I was making or doing. So what I realized there was she was not seeing the exact process. She was only seeing the end result, and I wasn't truthfully sharing myself, because if you're only showing the end product and here's what I made, you didn't show everything along the way, right? Because you're taking that one little second of a photo. And I'm not judging it. I'm just here kind of talking about how our brains work and why we need to reconsider perfectionism as a whole. Because on that night, on the way home, I just questioned everything. How am I presenting myself to the world? Am I being a perfectionist by not showing my fails? Was I lying by only sharing the final project? Do I really want people to view me in that way, that I'm perfect and I do great crafts all the time? And then it hit me. If I'm not showing my fails, it's likely that other people aren't sharing their fails either. Therefore, we're all only seeing wins, which is such a distorted way to view the world. And it's not realistic, and it's not healthy, truthfully. So until this point, I never viewed showing my projects, my finished projects, as lying or misleading. And I don't necessarily think they're lying or misleading now. Maybe it's not a bad thing to share just the end product or your finished project. It's simply something that changed the way I wanted others to see me. I want them to know that I'm real. I want people to understand that, of course, I make mistakes and I learn from them every single day. I also want people to know that I can handle mistakes and I can keep moving forward. And I want them to know the same for themselves. And that is why I help people and I coach, because what we do and the filter that we use, the lens we put on, if you think of glasses, when you put them on, the lens that you're using when we view other people is that we're using them as a guide for what is perfect and what is good and what is acceptable, all those things. And whether we are at work, if we're in our marriages, or who we are as mothers and fathers, if we're using the lens of only the finished project or the finished craft or the snippet of time that things are perfect, then it's distorted. And we are all going for things that are simply not realistic and not healthy and not worth striving for. Perfectionism is driven by a desire to influence what other people think of us, or to have other people think well of us. I guess it's the same thing. Otherwise, why would we be motivated to share any of it at all? Where do we get those parameters for what the idea of a perfect thing is or perfectionism is? It came from somewhere. I'm going to stick with the example of seeing people on social media. What people share on social media is just a snippet, a little bitty snippet in time. It's either 50 seconds in a reel form as a reel on IG, or it's even less because it's a literal snapshot of a millisecond of time in the form of a photo. And I want you to think about that. That photo does not show you the rest of the room that's out of frame. It doesn't show you what it took to get the photo or the reel to be what it actually is. So it tricks the person who is viewing it into believing it was done with ease and little effort, when people have died trying to get the perfect shot. You've heard of people falling off a cliff because they're trying to look like they're falling, get this beautiful view, and they have lost their lives because of that. Our brains cannot register the pain or what somebody else is doing on the other end of a photo or a reel and what they're going through to get that snapshot. We have no idea what's happening. Perfectionism is actually founded in false reality itself. There are so many ways that this is creating a fake reality and a faulty expectation. It's messing with our baseline. It's messing with the barometer for what's right and what's wrong and what it even means to be perfect. When we want a strong, successful marriage and we see couples that post endless pictures of kisses, of vacations, and their children winning trophies for all the events, then we may think to ourselves, I want that perfect marriage. That looks so easy, and it has money to go on vacation, and they have perfect kids that excel on whatever they do while we're at home struggling. But never mind, you can't see the fight they just had before they took the kissy photo, or the debt they're swimming in to go on the vacation, and the tears and chaos that it takes to get kids out the door to go to practice and then get home and do homework after school. If you're a perfectionist, how are you deciding what is perfect? What is it costing you to attempt perfectionism? Could your life look different and feel different if you let go of some of your expectations? Because honestly, perfectionism overall is just preventing you from being your true confident self. If you find yourself motivated by perfectionism, sit back, take time to reflect on how it is showing up in your life and find ways to let go just a little bit more. One way I've learned to let go of some of my perfectionism is when we entertain in our home. I used to want the house to be perfectly clean and organized, and I wanted to make everything homemade as food, and then I want the decorations to be elaborate and perfect. And although I really enjoy doing all of those things, it isn't realistic, and it just kind of drains my energy. If I put way too much time into it, I skip other normal things and taking care of myself and jumping in the sauna or doing my shake plate or doing exercise. And I'm neglecting self-care to make everything perfect for everyone else. And what is that effort for? People really don't care if your house is perfectly clean or if you have all homemade food or the decorations are beautiful. Connection is much more important than all of that. And I used to just miss that connection part because I was too busy running around attempting to make everything perfect for everyone else. Meanwhile, it was not perfect for me because I would be exhausted by the time it was all over. I may enjoy the creating decorations or even making homemade food. I didn't get to enjoy it because I was too busy doing all the other things. That's just one example of a way you can evaluate your specific quest to be perfect and what it looks like for you. I have one last question I want you to consider. What would you get back if you let go of your perfectionism? Would it be time? Would it be energy? Would you have more money? Would you have more connection with family and friends? Would you be more of the true you, or at least the more whole and vibrant true you? Bring back a more confident version of you, and it brings back a version of you that has more joy, who is making better decisions, quicker decisions, and getting more done, and more energy and creative flow for your life. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It has been a blast. I would love for you to do me a huge favor and either go leave a rating or a review. And if you really love the podcast or you've learned anything at all, please pass it on to a friend or a family member that might enjoy the podcast as well. That's how I grow, and that's how I'm able to continue bringing you content. If you are interested in coaching, just go to thecrazyconfidencecoach.com. You can sign up for a free discovery call there. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you next Tuesday so we can build our crazy confidence together. Love you big.